flying in some of the harshest conditions this planet has to offer, piloting with a purpose in the hangar. Welcome to In the Hangar. I'm Dan Milliken. In the Hangar is sponsored by Gold Seal, groundschool.com, and also iFly GPS. I'm super excited about this episode. It's about missionary flying, and if only I was 20 years old. Oh, but maybe there's still hope for me. We have a great show lined up for you today, and joining us is Zach Loving. Zach.
Thanks, Dan. Good to be here.
Also, we have Joe Casey. Joe, thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for letting me be here. It's going to be a great conversation.
All right, so missionary flying. Zach, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into it.
Well, it is quite a story. I mean, sure you can guess that. But my story started when I was, I grew up in a Christian family, Christian home. Around 17 or 18 is when God really, through, just a lot of different circumstances, led me to missions aviation. I didn't have a missionary background at all. But I found LeTourneau University in Longview, Texas, and they have a missions aviation degree plan, and that's where I went and spent 4 years learning how to fly there and got my, commercial certifications and aircraft maintenance as well. So that's where I started, and through LeTourneau got connected to an organization in Alaska called Kingdom Air Corps, and the guy that directs up there is Dwayne King. And he went to LeTourneau as well, and so we got connected. And I went up there in 2015 and been flight instructing in Alaska the last 5-6 years. And it's been a lot of fun, a cool ride so far.
Okay. Joe, so how do you fit into this? I mean, the audiences for In the Hangar are very familiar with you. DPE, you've given us some great tips on a lot of different flying principles. How do you fit this?
Well, I'm a Christian to start with, and I think that's part of the prerequisite to enter into this world. And a long time ago, I wanted to be a missionary pilot. But you kind of don't have to fit a mold, but you have to hit a station in life where you're able to do it. And at the time, I had 3 kids and all kind of troubles, and it was just very difficult for me to go to the mission field. But I've always said, I want to either go to the mission field or I want to support those that are. And through that searching process has been a way that I've ended up, for me, I've looked at all the different missionary organizations, but the place that I went was Kingdom Air Corps, and that's where Zach and I first met. And it's a great place for me to be able to serve those that are going to the mission field at Kingdom Air Corps.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I mean, I'm a Christian. There's going to be quite a few people that aren't Christians watching this. Is there, do you ever see non-Christians flying missionary? That's going to be a question that non-Christians watching are going to ask.
Yeah. Now I worked those 5-6 years with Kingdom Air Corps, and through that organization got connected to what we're doing now with Free Burma Rangers is the name of this organization we're with full time. And FBR, is a humanitarian relief organization. And, I would say the vast majority of us are Christians, and what we do with that purpose of this is what God's called me to do. But, anybody from any walk of life, when you see people oppressed or you see people hurting or you see people who need just the basics of life, I mean, we all have that compassionate heart. And that, I believe that's something that God put in all of us to have compassion. And so, anybody can do this kind of work. It's not limited to just Christian religion, but it's something that if you're in aviation, you should look into how can I be a part of something like this.
All right, so the connection was Kingdom Air Corps, and just tell me a little bit about what Kingdom Air Corps is.
Yeah, so Kingdom Air is the main thing is missionary pilot training. That's our main thing. So it's guys, either they're 18, 19, 20 years old, and this is the future that they want to be a missionary pilot career. This is where they're headed. Or the other half is guys that they're either already on the mission field, maybe like a pastor, or out in some remote area of the world, and they just want to be able to reach more people a lot faster. And so they'll come to Kingdom Air Corps and get trained just from private level all the way through flight instructor if they want to do that. And then they can, they're able to reach a lot further, a lot faster. Especially we have some friends that we've trained in Russia, and Russia and Alaska kind of share that climate where there's a good part of the year where you can't drive, you can't hike around, it's too cold, it's thawing out, whatever. And so to put some skis on a little airplane and fly out to this remote village, it makes what they do possible.
Kingdom Air Corps was started by Dwayne King, who's a fabulous man, and his legacy will go on for a long time because of what he did. But he speaks Russian, and he spent a lot of time in Russia. And so there's what they want to do is have people that come over, learn to fly, and then go back to Russia with an airplane, even small airplanes, Cessna 120, Cessna 170, little small airplanes are able to allow people and supplies to move from small villages that are in very difficult arenas. Mm-hmm. And so that's Dwayne's heart, and that's how Kingdom Air Corps grew. And it's really a thriving place. It's probably one of my most special places on earth, I would say.
And it's in Alaska. How does somebody who's watching and they want to get involved with Kingdom Air Corps, how would they do that?
Yeah, the easiest thing is just kingdomaircorps.org. CORPS, like Marine Corps, so kingdomaircorps.org, and there's a place up at the top to apply to be a student or to volunteer, like we were talking about. There's a need there for short-term, kind of like what Joe has done, and it's been a huge blessing to come up and offer either instruction or even to cook there. There's everybody lives there on the facility all summer, and so there's a lot of chances to help out.
When you go up to do check rides, what are the pilots like? Are they very similar to the check rides you experience in the lower 48? Are you finding that they're being rushed through too fast?
No. They're not rushed through too fast at all. There's really a high level of competency that they're achieving by their flight training that they have going on up there. They have a dirt strip that's synonymous with what they're going to be experiencing in the real world. And so they're learning in real conditions, and they really are quite good. It was interesting when I had heard of Kingdom Air Corps, and one time I was ferrying an airplane over to China, ended up in Alaska where we couldn't go on because the winds were just too strong. So me and Ben were on this trip, and we just had a day to kill in Alaska. And we looked up Kingdom Air Corps, and because I'd heard of it, and went there. And it was one of those times where when people ask, how do you get into this type of world where seek, look, pursue it, and the Lord will open up those doors. For me, it was Ben and I went to Kingdom Air Corps, and our eyes were opened. Wow, look what people are doing with airplanes, and how do I be a part of it? And you'll find people up there building cabins that come up. You'll find people that are cooking food, that are fixing airplanes, repairing them, instructing. And my part, I found, was I'm able to go up there and give check rides. And of course, I'm able to give check rides for free for the student, which is helping them because there's not a lot of income in this world. This is not a place you come to get rich. This is a place you come to serve. And so that's my way of serving the aviation community is through going up there and doing check rides and whatever else is needed to be done. And it's really a cool place.
All right, awesome. So you're not with Kingdom Air anymore. Tell me about what you've done.
Yeah. So through Kingdom Air Corps, got connected to Free Burma Rangers, and so they sent their first pilot over to Kingdom Air Corps for training in 2014, and that was my first year to go up, and I started flying, and his name is Kit, and so we got to know each other. His name is actually like this long, but we just go with Kit. So
you can't pronounce or you can pronounce the rest. But we can't.
I don't think we have time on the show for. But so I got connected with Kit that first summer, and we became close friends. And then Kingdom Air Corps donated Cessna 172 to Free Burma Rangers in 2016, and it was not up in Alaska; it was in South Carolina. Donated, and that's another way that people can get involved. You can donate,
ferry,
or donate your plane.
Right.
If you're selling it or you're just getting out of aviation. That's a little plug there. But so this plane was in South Carolina, and we needed somebody to do the engine overhaul, to send it over to Thailand and ship it in the container and all that stuff. So I took that project on, and so then because of that, got really intimately involved with FBR and their fledgling aviation program. And so over the last couple of years, just really realized I thought I'd be kind of more on the outside, just advising a little bit, but really God just kept through step by step, just made it where it's like, okay, somebody needs to take this on just full time and to see it become what it needs to be. So me and my wife, we've got 3 boys, and so we've just, all 5 of us have jumped into this life. And yeah, Sarah, my wife, is the volunteer coordinator for FBR now. So.
And that's based out of Thailand?
Chiang Mai, Thailand. Yeah. So we're based and function out of Thailand, but then in and out of Burma as well.
Okay, so for those who don't understand what's going on in that part of the world, what is happening there?
Tell us about the Karen people and what's really where the genesis for FBR came up.
Yeah. So my friend Kit is Karen. It's an ethnic group of Burma, and there's 12 to 13 major ethnic groups inside Burma, or Myanmar as it's called now. And you've probably seen in the news lately a lot of unrest politically there. But there has, since the end of World War II, there's just continual conflict has been going on between the ethnic groups and the central government. And so Free Burma Rangers was started about 25 years ago by a guy named Dave Eubank, who was a former U.S. Army Ranger. And so he had the technical skills, and he was also born and raised as a missionary kid in Thailand. So his dad is still there at 90 years old as a missionary, full-time, going for it. So about 25 years ago, his dad called and said, hey, Dave, if there's any way that you can come back, there's so much conflict and so much hurt and pain and suffering right here just on the border between Thailand and Burma. If you think God could make it possible for you to come back and help us, we need help. And so that was the start of FBR. And so even now, just within the last couple of months, there's about 6,000 Karen people that have been displaced from their villages because of attacks by the Burma Army. So FBR, our main goal is to help those people, but also to equip them. That's the main thing. And kind of that connection to Kingdom Air Corps, and like Joe was talking about, training people, national people, to go back home and do the work and to help their local people. So FBR, that's what we're about, is to train and equip them to respond to conflict, to medical training, or basic journalism training to take down where is this happening, what happened, what were the casualties, that kind of thing. And so then with aviation, we want to be able to fly relief personnel and supplies in and out of these areas. Yeah.
Well, okay, when you talk about teaching, that the Free Burma Rangers teaches the indigenous people to provide for themselves. Specifically, do they do self-defense and medical? What are you teaching them?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. So, with Dave's background in the Rangers, he's got that military ability and capability. We don't train any way of engaging militarily, but everything else that the military equips people with, of basic medic training, how, like I was saying, how to document what's going on, how to take pictures and videos, if here's this burned out village, we need to document what happens. And over the years, a lot of bigger news organizations have been able to use what FBR captures, what our ethnic guys capture, and it's been all over the world to let the world know what's still happening in Burma. Yeah. So Kit, actually, our connection with Joe, Kit was just here January and February and got his CFI, actually.
Oh.
So through Kingdom Air Corps, he worked all the way through commercial, and then he was able to come, and Joe and Ben gave him some help there, and just got his flight instructor certificate. So his goal is to go back to Thailand now and to train the guys there in country.
All right. I got my private pilot's license, 5-6 years ago. I'm in my mid-50s now. Is it too late for me to do anything?
It's probably too late for you to be a missionary pilot overseas. Maybe not too late. That's probably the wrong word. But there's ways that you can serve. There's the ways that you can help. I think the world has opened up due to aviation. We can now airline all over the world and be on the other side of the world in a half a day. And that has opened up possibilities for people that have jobs in the America or elsewhere to be able to set that down and go serve in some way. And there's a lot of ways to serve. Sometimes that doesn't mean you actually fly the airplane. It means you're helping the people that do fly the airplane or do the work with the airplane. And so short-term mission trips is probably the fancy term that's used now are plentiful. And it's a way that people can jump in and serve. And once you jump in and are able to go and put your own eyes on what's going on around the world and how aviation is able to move people and things, it's pretty obvious how to jump in. The need is very great.
Could I expect to fly then?
Depends on where you go and what you do. It depends. Usually, there's always going to be a pilot that's familiar with the area, because usually you're not flying out of
doing some of this harsh bush pilot flying.
You're probably not going to do that on a short-term mission trip. But that doesn't mean you can't go along, be a part of it. And it depends on where you go and what you do and how organized they are. But the key is, this is an area where it doesn't necessarily have a paved path to the location. This is a place where you need to get in
and see
and begin to pave your own path and be able to see what needs those people have and how you can support. It might be money. It might be donating an airplane. It might be going. It might be going and then bringing something with you that helps you help them. And so the need is definitely there. Most of these people are in remote parts of the world that they can have digital access most of the time, but just small items. And when you come, you bring a suitcase full of whatever's going to help, and things of this nature. Expand upon this?
Yeah, for sure.
Let me ask you differently. How can people help you with Free Burma Rangers with your aviation goings on?
Yeah. On that line, we have a couple of guys that are involved in our aviation team there that, they spent a whole career already in the military. One guy was a pilot in the Navy. One guy was a mechanic, for the Navy. And but now those skills that they have, they've done that. That's a whole lifetime of experience and work. And they're retired from that now, but they've got, hey, I've got a lot to offer. And so they were able to come with their wives, and they moved to Thailand, and they're there helping us now. So it's true. It's never too late. There's always something. Kind of like the guy we were mentioning, Dwayne King. He's 78, I think, and still directing Kingdom Air Corps, still flying all the time, instructing, And so he always talks about, I'm going to go to heaven on a rocket. Like he's just full steam ahead, just full blast all the time, taking advantage of the years that he's got. And, it's never too late, to do something for God, to do something for people. It's not too late. But for us specifically with Free Burma Rangers, like I said, there's a lot of organizations like Missionary Aviation Fellowship or JARS, these organizations that have been around for a long time, well established, but for us, we are just, 2 or 3, 4 years into this whole, like I said, the plane just got there 2016, 2017, we're like feeling our way out. And so for us, it's a lot of prayer, like, God, which way, how do we approach this? What do we need to do? So I would say that'd be the number one thing. Pray for us, see what God would say. Maybe you can connect with me somehow. And see.
Okay. How can people support you? How can people connect with you?
Yeah. So you can go to fbraviation.org. So that's just for what FBR is doing in the air. There's also freeburmarangers.org. And that is more broad of the whole organization and what it's been about these last 25 years. And then for us personally, my family, we have our own small nonprofit that people can donate through or whatever, and that's called Loving Life Missions. Little play on my last name there, but yeah, so lovinglifemissions.org. And but really our main thing is we just want to get the news out about what's going on in Burma. That, it's been running so long that it's kind of falls off of world news until very recently, just because of the military coup that's going on. But outside of that, like, it was old news. And so we work really hard to keep it in the forefront. You know, like, people are still, there's still a lot of conflict happening, a lot of suffering going on. So I would say go to freeburmarangers.org and check it out. Get yourself some information about what's happening in Burma.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing it with us about this.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate it.
Joe, thank you as always for all your input.
I appreciate you putting the spotlight on mission aviation. It's a really a neat part of aviation, and you really can't do it without an airplane. And so that we need people to be a part of this section of aviation.
Okay, so for you guys, we have links down in the description below for what Zach has just mentioned. If you feel that you can be a part of this, please, get up out of your chair and do something. They need some help. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time in the hangar.